Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Start with roll call.
Ms. Betts,
I'm present.
Ms. Harrell, oh, she's excused. Ms. Hetland,
Present.
Mr. Yeah, hold on, I'll amend that. Mr. Miller, Ms. Jones, Ms. Orchardson, Mr. Robinson, Ms. Salmon,
Here.
Ms. Snyder,
Here.
Oh, should Jared be putting this around?
Yeah. she
Mr.
said
Miller.
that.
Yeah, that's him. Jared Miller.
Yep.
Okay. All right, next we have the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes from the last meeting? I move that we approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any changes to the agenda? Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and move to the downtown get down update.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I think I'm going to do the majority of the talking today in terms of like explaining what we're doing, and then we'll obviously be doing some group brainstorming. I wanted to give you an update in general about the downtown get down, but I also want to just preface this by saying for the portions of the meeting that are here for discussion, the presentations, we have both kind of this downtown get down update and then a short visioning process. It's really intended to just spark things, so we're not having a very holistic visioning process today, but to really just sort of get us started. Come on in.
Hi.
Oh, I passed you.
You passed me?
I did. I could have given you a ride. I
Oh,
saw you
was that-
walking. You were at the corner of Washington and Vine.
Oh, it wasn't me. I just drove up.
Your doppelganger.
He was dressed exactly like you. I
Gotcha.
stopped at the stop sign and this guy walked across and I went, oh.
Hey.
I
You
thought
should
you were
always
the same
meet your
guy.
doppelgangers because you never know when you could use them in life.
Hey, long time.
I know.
I would've given you a ride.
I'm a very generic looking white guy, so
I guess so.
There's
But he
lots of
literally
me
was
out
wearing a
there.
shirt like that and with dark blue pants. No
well,
kidding.
my pants are black, so
Okay.
Well,
And they're
it's
short.
Technicality. Okay, we're gonna focus. That was good. That was wonderful.
That was his
Hello.
welcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Jared, welcome.
hello everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Which is worth saying also. Brief welcome, Jared Miller, latest addition to the Arts and Culture Commission. Woo woo.
All right.
First meeting.
Thank you.
This is a non-traditional meeting. We've never met up in this room since I've been here. So
Oh,
this
we
is
have.
new. But you've met, I'm sure you've met many times, but since I've been here, I've never met up in this room. So this is a new experience.
Wait.
Up here.
Since you've been at the city,
Yeah.
you've never had a
Really?
meeting in the conference room.
Oh yeah, no, but as this commission, no,
Oh,
I've never.
okay.
With
Like,
snacks, there are snacks in the back, Jared, just to let you know.
Cool.
Yep,
Okay.
and water. Please eat them, everyone. So we were just explaining, we just approved minutes and all that. We're explaining now the kind of the way the agenda is going to work for my portions today. And I want to just put forth that I intend to keep us pretty short tonight. I'm not planning for a very extensive meeting. So what we're doing is a pretty shortened visioning process that is really intended to spark some initial visioning that will continue to be emergent for the remainder of the next few meetings especially. But first and foremost, I wanted to give you an update on Urbana's downtown get down planning because you haven't had one in a minute. And so let me just share a little bit more about the downtown get down. This is planned for fourth Saturdays of the month, May through August. The last Saturday is concurrent with Sweet Corn Festival. So we are effectively adding another sort of corridor stage area to Sweet Corn Festival that's curated by the Downtown Get Down Planning team, which consists of representatives from the Urbana Park District, Urbana Arts and Culture Program, 40 North, and Urbana Business Association. And we've been working really hard to kind of come up with a model that for us is going to be sustainable and be engaging and all those sorts of things. So what we have planned is, and I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an update about it in general. I wanted to be able to show you a map today, but unfortunately the map is being finalized tomorrow. My hope is that it will actually all be kind of released online pretty soon, so you'll also get a sense of those things as you follow our pages and everything. Urbana's Downtown Get Down actually has its own Facebook page. It's at the moment unpublished. It should be published by the end of the week, and you will also be able to follow it along there. I, of course, encourage all of the commissioners to follow that page and be a part of some of the things that are emergent here. The Downtown Get Down has basically has a curated space that's on Main Street, but then our goal is to have it celebrate kind of things that are happening in the downtown more largely. So we've met with a number of business owners in the downtown to talk to them about how they can also kind of brand their events of that evening around Urbana's Downtown Get Down. So we'll have things like businesses saying like Sip Yard gets down with, and then like what they're doing that evening. We're going to be working with First Federal has pledged support for our Kids Zone, and the Kids Zone right now is kind of curated with the Park District. So to kind of paint you an invisible picture, since I don't have a map, one edge of the street is going, and this is kind of in front of the Busey lot on Main Street, so more towards that end of the street, we'll have a stage. We'll have sort of a little dancing area. We'll have some tables and chairs for sitting. And then in the Busey lot, we're going to have like a hula hoop station curated by a few flow artists. We're going to have a kind of food truck area. We have a graffiti demo space that will be out probably each event with sort of live demos, but then also some opportunities to kind of get a mini workshop and get to experiment a little bit. So those are movable walls that'll kind of be there as like almost, we're talking kind of like a triangle. We're gonna, the hope is to work with the library, and so we're in talks with the library about working to kind of expand the programming that has emerged through Teen Open Lab at the library, which is really, if you don't know about it, a gem within the Urbana community, I think, doing some really critical work to provide really like safe, engaging, free spaces for teens in the after-school program. They continue that programming throughout the summer. So we're working with them to kind of establish maybe like a mini maker space that's kind of more curated around teens in that what would be the Race Street side, kind of near like what is Satara, Iron Post, like these kinds of sides. And then when we head more towards down Main Street, we have an arts market curated by 40 North, so that will feature a lot of different fine artists selling their work. We'll have some booths that are where the fee to have a booth is waived in place of them doing a demo at their booth, so they have to do some live demos. So it could be like a blacksmith doing a live demo, or somebody like, you know, doing pottery, or any number of things could happen. Then further down the street, heading more towards Broadway, we'll have some community organizations tabling. They are not vendors, so they're not selling anything, but they are invited to have an activity at their table of some kind, usually more on the family-friendly edge of things. So they'll have just different activities happening. If you came out to Urbana Celebrates the Boneyard, you kind of got a glimpse this past weekend of like what that could look like. As we largely have, you know, kind of activities. So we have people doing puppetry, and we had people doing just a number of little activities at their booths, and then promoting their resources or services as an organization. And then beyond that, we have a barricaded area that, and barricade sounds rough. We have festival racking, creating a sweet little area that is not a baby jail, but is for children, but also allows for us to kind of keep an eye on who's there. The Park District will actually be set up to sign in kids in it so that they can actually be dropped off there for a period of time if parents want to walk around while they're at the inflatables and all the other things. So we have between 2 and 3 inflatable activities at the end of the street through Action Inflatables, and then we'll probably also have just an area that's kind of curated by the Park District that have some like recreational games and things like, I don't know, relay race kind of looking things at that edge of the street. So
No tank donkey so the mayor can.
we could probably add a duct tape. If it was going to go anywhere, it would be on that side of the street.
I mean,
Unless the teens would be really into it, and we'll kind of put it over there.
fun dunking
Yeah.
in Marlin that once this week.
I could see something like that emerging, yeah. But that's sort of the plan as it looks right now. So we're in the process of seeking sponsorships. We were in touch with Busey Bank, and they are giving us use of their lot after hours. And we're hoping to kind of continue to seek sponsorships in different ways. So that is particularly the realm of Paris. She's working on that. The Park District's really working on the child care and kids zone planning. I'm working on booking everything on the stage, as well as all of the like live demos and things. And then Kelly White's working the arts market. I'm also working on kind of the teen space stuff, so that some of that is curated by artists, and we're hoping to bring the library in as a more kind of one of a bigger partner to be doing something as an extension of their teen space potentially. So those are the talks that are happening, but I kind of wanted to give you an update so that you know what's to come. Like I said, hashtag Get Down Urbana. Urbana's Downtown Get Down has its own Facebook page, and we ask you to follow it and kind of get involved. And if there's something, what I would love to see, of course, is our commissioners out, hopefully signing up to volunteer or be a part of this series and this event. So as a commissioner, if there's something in what I've described that like really sounds fun to you, like if you'd like to work in like the Teen Open Lab space, or you like working with young kids and you want to work more in the kids zone, or you want to offer your time somewhere, please let me know, because I'm wanting to kind of slate in volunteers, and a lot of what we're doing is going to require a volunteer sign up that I will also be managing. So I would love to know, and every organization will be asking this question. If they have a volunteer pool, they're going to ask their volunteers or their board members to come out and support the event in this way through active volunteership and other things that could be fun for you to do. If you also have like a talent or something that you'd like to offer towards the program, I'd love to hear about that too, because there's probably a number of ways that you could be involved. But that's really what's going on with the Downtown Get Down, and I just wanted to give you kind of an overview. But I'd love to also ask and invite any questions you might have, or thoughts you have, or things that you'd like to see.
I was just curious, is there going to be more than one musical group?
Yeah, sorry, I should have given you the schedule. So bands are not 100% confirmed, but are like nearly 100% confirmed. So I'll eventually, hopefully, be releasing a lineup in the next couple days. But we have all the DJs confirmed. So we start with a DJ each night. It's really pretty short what's happening on Main Street. It's only 5 to 8. So our DJ plays for the first hour and a half. After the first hour, the band's already done a sound check, but the band can also start to come back up on stage and get prepped for their show, while the DJ just plays some music in transition time. All DJs are challenged to open up their set with Get Down On It by Kool and the Gang, which is like a fun anecdote of our planning. I've also challenged every band to do a riff on Get Down On It as their closing song. I don't know if they're going to take me up on it, but they've been like curious about that. I've been like actually playing that song as I plan this. It just like gets me in the mood.
I love it.
You know? That's really the vibe. So all the DJs have kind of been, they all bring a different flavor, but they've been really instructed to kind of like really center like funk, soul, maybe a little bit of house music, Afro beats, like just like a little bit more, just more that kind of vibe is really, I think, what we're going for with Downtown Get Down, at least this season.
Who are the DJs?
So we have DJ Medusa, she's a lady DJ. We've got DJ West Gile, Dance Music Therapy, second.
Oh, cool.
DJ West Giles, third. And DJ Silky, fourth. So
nice.
2 ladies, 2 men. We've got a lot of diversity in what they choose to play. But I know, I think of DMT, I want to say it's going to be Kamau. So it will be probably some like Afro beats. Carlos does that too, and he's DJ West Gile. He does a global night at Soma, so he's also going to like incorporate some other beats in general. Like he's really excited about that. So those are the DJs, and then I can't really let you know what the lineup for bands are because it's not till like confirmed. People are moving things around, but it's to come, and it sounds great. And we are having basically a transition show in that half hour. The last half hour of the DJ playing, there's going to be some sort of performance down in front of the stage. And right now I'm in talks with like a soul line dancing group, a Latin hip hop fusion dance group. So just like some different groups that will do performance, and they would do a performance in front of the stage. We also have just been working out some other things. I know, Jared, you're like involved with Common Mind, and I've been working a bit with like Matt Harsh about doing the graffiti street art side of things. And Michael.
There's only one person you could have been talking to about that. Or if it wasn't me.
Matt was singing your praises as a graffiti artist.
Thanks.
So you should be involved over there. I think we know where it would be fun to place you if you volunteered.
Are you looking for input for
Of course.
Well, you mentioned like transitional performers.
Mhm.
Is there a Bhangra team on campus?
There is. So and I've invited them to do things in the past. The challenge, of course, with all the student
The
groups is
students,
them just
yeah.
not being around. But yes, I think it would be really fun to have a Bhangra team out too. I've worked with a couple in general on campus when I was on campus, but yeah, I'm in that same wavelength. Also, fusion dance opportunities. I've been trying to think of like how could I have like some different cultural dances like work and dance simultaneously, but like in the same space, because that would be a cool show to see. But yeah, so we've been just sort of working with thinking about that. I'm going to the family and community engagement meeting at the school district, and so I plan to tell them on Friday about the Downtown Get Down. There was also a project that has been kind of put, not exactly on hold, but just it's not been happening in the same timeline because of some just changes that you are probably aware of at the school district level. But one of them is a multicultural event that used to take place as part of, it began like in Leal School and it outgrew Leal School, and then it was at the middle school and it outgrew the middle school. So we had all these talks like early this past year with a number of people, but I represent the arts program there, of like how could this become more of a community event, and could we support it in different ways becoming a community event? What do the people who've helped put it on want? And the people who have helped put it on largely are parents of youth in the school district, and with a large representation of like Chinese, Black and African, and Latino families that have put on this event as like a multicultural showcase. So it's a lot of it is like moms dancing their traditional dances, and it's really, really wonderful. So we had been kind of in talks about that, and I've also been reaching out about having maybe some of those folks come and perform at the Downtown Get Down. And so we hope to curate a really unique space and to really populate it with things, which is the challenge right now. We moved the stage back. We actually flip-flopped from an original plan of having the stage on the other end of the street. And all of it was with some different feedback from people we've been talking to, what they'd like to see, sun not being in the band members' eyes, things like certain owners of businesses preferring like kids and inflatables near them versus like, you know, loud stage. Although there's a different version of loud I've warned them. But you know, there's just a lot of things that we're kind of taking into consideration as we shape it.
Right.
But that's sort of, yeah. Other questions?
Congratulations. Sounds like
And
you've
then
got
you
something
run
good.
into Boeing, to Sweet Corn as soon as you're done.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Sweet Corn will be like the last one will be at Sweet Corn.
Yeah.
So
But
I
no
think.
time off, you're already planning ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it'll be interesting. And we've got a lot of like things that were recently funded through the Arts Grant Program that might find a place there too. Like we have a new like mobile art cart that's going to be moving around Champaign-Urbana. We've got this pop-up photo booth that might come there. So I mentioned this all to them in their grant orientations last week, and there was a lot of enthusiasm for getting involved with this too. So hopefully we'll see where it goes in its first year. Of course, some folks want to see it a lot longer than 3 hours of what's actually happening on Main Street. We want to promote everything that's happening everywhere else after those 3 hours. But you know, that is just this is a test, so we'll see how it goes, and then we can reassess. Which also means, as you go, attend. Tell me, in your opinion, what's working well, what's not, how you'd like to see it change and grow. That's all really important. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Any questions? No, Jared, no questions.
I have
No
questions for you, but I'll ask you afterwards.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. Go ahead with the arts and culture.
I just wanted to also mention one quick thing. This is the next thing I'm hoping that you all make it out to. And I was hoping in this room today to kind of take a check of who thinks they're likely to come. Thank you. Because
I'll be there.
yay, because one thing that I'm hoping to do is actually have, for those who are also willing and plan to be there, either come up when, and you know, if for instance Pat gives a few comments on behalf of the commission, for you all to come up and stand next to her, or for perhaps if people are willing to speak, I can like slate you in to say a couple comments. I will prep what you're saying. I will give you suggestions. You can riff on it and do whatever you want. It won't be a whole extra amount of work for you, but I do want to really incorporate the commissioners into what we're doing that evening. My hope is to really make it a celebratory event for the people that received arts grants. It was kind of a long program. I'm not sure if I'm doing exactly the same way I did it last year, Barbara. And I think the two of you came, and then Janelle came too. I can't remember if anybody else came. Did you get? Jessica, did you come?
I was there last year.
Well, I think our program just went a little long, I would say. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to like speed it up. But I kind of just like introduced eGrange Project. They came up. We kind of like clapped for them. We let them say a couple words if they wanted to. So we'll probably do somewhat of a similar thing. It's at Blackbird, so we'll be able to hear each other a little bit better. We struggled a little bit with that last year at Broadway. So I think that it will just be, it'll be short and sweet. We're going to have live music from a trio that is kind of like sort of a bossa nova trio connected to Desafinado. I was like trying to remember what band name. Yeah, so it's just a portion of their band.
I will be there. I realize I already have it on my calendar.
Yeah, I have it on my calendar already, too.
Yay! Did I invite you all? And
Yes.
look, is that how that happened? I should do that all the time.
I don't know. But somebody saw it,
So who thinks they're going to be there? Oh, yay! That is so awesome. All right. Well, I look forward to having you all there.
I'll be there.
How many of you that raised your hands are like willing to say a couple words? Hey. Okay, just so that I know.
For each one of
You,
us.
you,
to
could,
take
you,
a
could,
check.
you, can only have, we could introduce
That would be great,
recipients.
actually. I think that's what I'll do. So what I have is, if you go on our website, under our Arts Grants page, we actually have the 2019 list. They usually have like a 1 to 2 sentence description of each group. So I think what I'll do is, if like the 5 of us are willing to speak, then I will just like assign each of us a different one, and we'll just kind of rotate and introduce each person.
Legit.
One and done. And then I'll give you a script when you arrive that says who's introducing who. Does that sound good?
Great.
And I'll probably do a welcome, encourage you all to come up in general as a group, just be acknowledged as a commissioner, all of that. It's going to be really fun, I think. So anyway, glad we could do some housekeeping with that. And that's really it for this part of the presentation. Now we move into visioning things. So first on context, you can probably turn this off actually. Just that, yeah. So first on context, we have needed to do just a kind of coming together and thinking around some visioning for the arts program. It typically happens annually because we had the last few months really be spent on moving from the kind of revising our mission and vision and moving from the Urbana Public Arts program to arts and culture and thinking about that intentionally. We had kind of put it off. And so now we're in this new context. We have a new vision statement, and I want to use it to kind of ground an initial conversation about visioning. But I want to preface this by saying my intention is to keep this to about 40 minutes, so it's not going to be super long, and it will not feel complete for any of us. We'll all feel like we're longing for something more, and it was not enough. And that's what I'm saying is that's to be expected, and it's okay. And I want this to actually just kind of kick off a longer conversation. But we begin today. So to kind of get us started, I was actually hoping that we could take a moment to do more of an icebreaker kind of thing. And then I'll go over kind of the goals for today's visioning, kind of get us started, and then we're going to do a guided exercise. And then we'll wrap up, and that's really the goal for today. So let me take one and pass it. You take one too. Suki takes one too. Everyone in the room must participate.
So you're here taking notes? Ah.
I've been a
She is
commission
our-
a long time.
No taker.
You have your own sticky notepad.
Look what I brought, Rachel.
Well, thank you.
Oh my gosh, the same one?
Pretty
Same
much.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
If anybody needs
How
a
many did you
pen,
say? We just want one.
I got a pen.
One page?
just one.
Okay.
It's really just you a writing place. So your challenge is to write in one sentence. You're not allowed to write 2 sentences.
Oh, sorry.
Just one sentence?
Just one sentence.
One sentence.
I want you to share something you appreciate about our local art scene. And you should begin your sentence with like, I appreciate blah, blah, blah.
Is this Jeopardy?
It really is.
The appreciating version.
If it were Jeopardy, it would be like, what would it say?
What is?
What is I appreciate both? Okay, you almost done? All right, I'm gonna have us go around and share them one by one. And for the sake of new person Jared, but also all of us, let's also share your name and that's it. We'll share your name and then your one sentence. So who is willing to start? I'm totally willing to start, but I was hoping the commissioner might want to start. I'll start.
I appreciate the openness of the community to all forms of art and the high value put on art and artists.
Very good. Now you get to pick a direction. Courtney.
Hi, I'm Courtney Bex, and I appreciate the existence of the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission.
Yeah, Suki.
Hi, I'm Suki Reed. I had two, I don't know, I'm gonna pick one of them, I guess. I appreciate how strongly the arts are celebrated in this community.
Yeah.
So I'm Jessica, and I wrote that I appreciate there is always usually something going on and something to do and see. But I give them time.
By now you all know I am Jared. And I said I appreciate the willingness of artists and performers to show and share their craft for little to no compensation.
That's a good point.
But we want to get them paid.
We want to, but I appreciate,
Right.
I really appreciate a lot of folks who are willing to do that without expecting much.
Yes.
Right.
I'm Brandon, and I appreciate that our arts community is closely interwoven locally, but with it's connected far-flung nationally and beyond.
True that.
I'm Rachel. I said I appreciate the camaraderie among those working in arts programming, as I've enjoyed relationships with like 40 North, UVA, IMC, Park District, and numerous community orgs since joining the staff of the city.
Who all? Oh, I'm sorry.
Barbara's on.
I'm Barbara. I'm one of the founding members of the commission. And I wrote, I appreciate the variety of programs and activities developed and supported by the commission to promote the city of Urbana and the dedication of so many who made it possible.
I love them. These were great appreciations. So, one thing's for sure is that over time, I would love to take black actually, if you're willing. If you're willing, I think it'd be great to have that. It's okay if your handwriting is whatever. So what I want to say is that, this commission has, as Barbara said, founding member. We've had some people who've been on the commission for a long, long time. We've got some people who've been on the commission for a shorter amount of time, and some people who are brand new today. I'm showing their names. But I believe that what we really want to see over time is a lot of relationship building here, because everything that we do in the community starts at home, right? So it also is important that we continue to work on our own relationships with each other, that we get to know other members of the commission. I want you to all know each other's work better. I want to know your work better, and I think it will help build in and among ourselves our own strength as a commission. So with that in mind, you know, I encourage you to take those appreciations that you gave, think about appreciations that you have for others on the commission, and I would love to see us eventually kind of incorporate that into announcements at the beginning of our commission meeting. We do some shout outs sometimes, and I think it's really, really important to like acknowledge each other's work when you see it or other good work in the community, and those are great opportunities during our regular commission meetings. So that might become an extension too of the things that we're doing. There's an agenda, minutes, and Stacy, there's some stuff for you. If you, should you choose to accept it.
Thank you.
I just dated myself, didn't I?
We're just getting into to visioning
TV
part.
show?
It's really
The
good.
tape would disappear. You never mind. Yeah, you're too young.
So what I'm hoping that we do,
Mission Impossible. Okay,
I
you-
I do what you're talking.
The original one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
does everyone have one of these? This is
No.
our kind of like worksheet today. Do you need one?
I need one.
Somebody else just put it.
Okay, so,
I was hoping there would be materials, so I did not print any out.
no, you're so fine. We often bring everything printed, so don't feel obligated to print things. Okay, folks, so what I want to do is kind of bring us together in thinking about visioning. As I said before, this is going to be just a very initial conversation. The intention is for it to spark a much broader conversation for us as we move forward through our meetings. And I plan to end within 30 minutes now, so we'll try to stick to time as best we can. So just following right along, take a look at your worksheet. What I'd like us to do today, as I said before, we spent some time delaying this visioning process in part because we had a revised mission and vision. I wanted to repaste your mission and vision here. So just to kind of reiterate, the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission celebrates and nurtures the city of Urbana's cultural and artistic diversity. That's our new mission. Our vision statement reads, the city of Urbana is a place where arts and culture thrive and all community members and visitors can engage in and experience arts and culture in all of its forms. The Arts and Culture Commission and Program nurtures creative expression, celebrates diversity, builds creative public spaces, and showcases the city of Urbana as a thriving destination for arts and culture. The Commission embraces and celebrates the diverse histories, beliefs, and cultures within the city of Urbana. So, kind of pulling some priorities out of your very recently made vision statement, I pulled out 3 that maybe we could use as a focus for today's conversation. The first was celebrating and nurturing the city of Urbana's cultural and artistic diversity. The second is offering community members opportunities for creative expression. And the third is building creative public spaces. So what I want us to do today is to really think first and foremost about how, if at all, are we meeting some of those needs already? Like, is there any existing program that might speak to some of the priorities that we're doing? Because I want us to also begin by like, okay, well, what are we doing already? Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's think first, together, collectively, because it also is a part of the conversation to think about what are our existing programs and how we'd like them to grow or become better, right? And then the other piece is thinking about how can we grow in new initiatives, right? So what other ways do you want to see us kind of work on these priorities? And that can also be in terms of thinking about like, not just initiating like a new event series or something, but it could also look like different kinds of evaluation we do of ourselves, our commission, our programs. It could be the kinds of relationships you want to see built better. It could be a wide variety of things, right? So it doesn't have to be only thought about through the lens of programs and events. But of course, that's often there. So what I'd like to invite us to do is to first take the next 5-ish minutes just to jot down a quick brainstorm with yourself. Now we're going to do some group work. What are some of the things that you think that we do right now that might speak to some of these priorities? And you can actually list them in the table below. So if you see the first column is about priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. There might be some overlap. Feel free to write things numerous times if you need. So take the next 5 minutes to just do that.
Do they need to be specific to each one of these priorities as we list them?
Yeah, in terms of speaking to those priorities, they don't have to necessarily, it's your interpretation, but they should, what you put in the column should correspond with the priority above it.
be programs that the arts and culture program run themselves, or can it be things that you do in collaboration with others?
I think both. I think anything you'd like to any way you would like to interpret that is fine. So as you're still writing here, is there anyone who'd like to share some of the things that are coming up for you?
Yeah, okay. Priority 1 and 2, I think the grant program often fills that. Also for priority 1, I had Art Expo and our participation in the Boneyard. Priority 2 would be grant program again, and also Art at the Market, which is always participatory. Priority 3 would be Artists of the Corridor, the sculpture program, and murals on glass. That's as far as I've gotten so far.
I don't know enough of the programs to list as many as
Thank you
did.
so much. 'Cause that's, I was, yes.
That's good. It's a learning process, Rob.
But in priority 3, and I don't know if this is a public arts and culture thing, but I also had 2 hashtags, the Think Urbana hashtag, and that was for that program, but people misuse it for other things, and hashtag Urbana Love. Are both things that I think help,
Good branding,
you know.
Oh yeah, I use Urbana Love a lot. It actually came out of an arts grant project.
yeah.
I use Art Thrives a lot, and I think that those are great examples. I added things in terms of building creative public space. I added murals on glass, the Urbana Sculpture Project, activating the Boneyard Creek Crossing through events like Urbana Celebrates the Boneyard. One of Open Scene's intentions is to move to a different business each time we host one, so we kind of create an temporary artistic space in that business. In a lot of my experience, some of that has allowed for business owners who don't regularly have like open mic or even performance type events in their space to imagine what it would be like to have more ongoing arts and culture programming in their space. And of course, we have things like municipal building projects. Some of you may recall that we have a 1% for the arts requirement, so that if a new government building is built, we also have 1% of the overall budget goes towards funding public art as a part of that project. That included things like Boneyard Creek Crossing. So some of the art that's in the Boneyard Creek Crossing was produced through that. So you see like the mosaic on the side and the springtail art, which is really great. And yeah, I put arts grants kind of throughout. I've also personally been working a lot to showcase different art forms and also a lot of cultural diversity through the Art Now documentary series of the past year. So we've seen a lot, just more features that have really expanded beyond maybe painters and a lot of visual artists to really incorporate more and more. There had always been some level of diversity with that project, but just really trying to showcase new and emergent art forms and things there too. I think in the past year we've had like the oldest artist ever to be on Art Now.
That's right.
We had a deaf artist. We've had more folks of color on Art Now. I think in general we've had just a lot of new things featured there, but that's just our mini documentary. She was 99. She turns actually 100 this month.
Yeah.
What?
We should all go say hello to her.
Yeah,
She
we
lives
gotta
at Clark
celebrate.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Say again?
She lives at Clark
Clark
Lindsay
Lindsay.
Village. She did Artists of the Corridor here, which is cool.
Dodie? Is that right?
Yes.
Dodie
Yeah.
Messer.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Hi Dodie, if you're watching our exhibition
Oh, we
meeting.
gotta celebrate that. That's incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was thinking a bit about those things, and I think that you're right in terms of the grant project, or the arts grants, really kind of inviting a lot of these things in many, many ways. I also wrote down Young Artist Studio, which is really, could fit kind of in the first 2 priorities somewhere. I think of it more as the arts education component that we're doing, things that help like nurture future artists in the community. But it's hard to know where to put all the things because there's a lot of crossover.
I'd also like to add, and I might be presumptuous, but CU Adventures in Time and Space. So they featured me and my colleagues' work during the yard, and I don't know if they plan to continue that as a practice, but they at least at this time, I think they would imagine that they'd be open to conversation.
I think in general and I think Boneyard does this so well, so mad props to 40 North. It really creates opportunities for people to envision having especially the visual arts, because I do think Boneyard is pretty heavy in the visual arts, having the visual arts in all kinds of different private businesses or other kinds of spaces, and invites a lot of business owners and organizational directors to think about like how do they already engage in the visual arts. So like CU Adventures is a great example. I got to go there for the recent Cocktails and Conversations, Coffee and Connections, Cocktails and Connections events.
Connections over coffee.
Connections
over cocktails.
Something. The UBA program.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Connections
talking about.
over coffee?
Yeah.
Over. Yeah. I don't know.
It's,
I thought it was like, all right.
I think it's connections over cocktails.
well, they
Paris,
do
forgive
both.
us for not
I
knowing the
think she does
exact
it morning
name.
and she does the nights.
That is genius.
It's
over.
wonderful. But we went through there recently. That was the most recent one with CU Adventures. And just to be able to go through the new space and see like what works of art each room are, I think is a great example of also like creating really unique spaces, really artistic spaces within businesses in the area. I was also really just like proud to see how many things had emerged through Boneyard. You know, Enchantment Alley just opened and they had like a really huge like multi-artist showcase in their brand new business right on Main Street. So there's been a lot. I mean, since last Boneyard, Rick's opened and Rick's had an exhibit there too. We had a lot of participation in Urbana, over I think 45 venues in Urbana. But yeah.
I'd also like to add dance music there somewhere in one of these. I know we've been meeting often enough to, and thinking about ways of being, I think, you know, and I want to be very careful how I word this. The dance music theory is always inclusive, but to make that apparent in the visuals and the language on the flyers, people tend to just come and say, oh, this is here. And it's like, oh, come this is like, yeah, it's out in the park. It's open, you know. But to make that more apparent on the visuals and the language on those flyers as well. And also in that clubhouse that is
The Lake House.
the lake house that's on the
Because they have their own series too.
yes, yeah, absolutely. So I know we've been talking about that a lot. We spoke, matter of fact, most recently on Saturday about ways of advancing that.
So we can, I think, shift gears at this point, but we can kind of identify ways that we have some existing programming that speak to these priorities, but there are probably countless ways that they can grow and emerge and continue to become strengthened in terms of how much they are meeting our vision. So that, of course, first and foremost, we have a vision for the larger art scene, but that we live up to that vision more, in the beginning. So I have actually written down these priorities on the 3 flip chart pieces of paper that are there. And what I would like to invite you to do for the next 10 minutes is to kind of find one that you are particularly drawn to thinking about, and then spend some time writing down some ideas of what we can do programmatically, like with our initiatives, with the way that we conduct our work, to really strengthen these priorities. So it can be like ways that you'd like to improve an existing program. It could be introducing new things. It could be thinking about the ways that we evaluate how we achieve this. But it's really just a brainstorm. So don't think too much, but write plenty. And here are some.
You want us to write it on the form and maybe. No,
I'm actually going to invite you. We're going to put them down like this.
Is it okay to write with a Sharpie?
Yep,
Okay.
totally okay. And I've got more Sharpies and things here, so I'll put like a couple on each.
It's in crafts time.
It's arts and crafts. So let's face this one you guys' way. And then if everyone can just like take some time to start writing things down. And then you can walk around to a different one. So let's do that for the next few minutes. And I just want you to feel encouraged to write down a bunch of ideas.
Oh, it's scented?
Blue raspberry.
Remember when we used to, were growing up, they said, don't smell those, I'll make you higher. Right. Yeah.
And we all smelled them anyway.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing at y'all. It freezes up, like it completely froze up, and I had to shut it off, and I hadn't saved anything. But I mean, I didn't have that much type soap, but I had lost everything I had. It's just it moves slow and like hit like the hit.
Oh, you gonna remember this?
Oh, I don't think so. Well, I remember I tried to hit it and everything falls out, so I probably won't try it again. Unless I try Chrome. You don't see that hourglass and stuff
I know.
Oh, this one's open. She got hit in the store and it froze. So that does work. Yeah. I guess just put it in the try.
Yay.
I'll look over at my
Good job.
notes and make sure you put that.
You guys never know. I don't want to text it.
Yeah.
This is a strong smell.
Look at Barbara. I'm just like,
Yeah, these ones are like really intense in particular. They are. Hopefully they're not bleeding on the table.
Luckily it's black.
It's all
It
right.
does come through, but not, it's not wet. Just look over it.
Try to add one thought to each one if you can.
I had 2,000.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. The more the merrier.
What? No way. Council members' least opinionated people, you know.
That's why the meetings are so short.
Hey, we've been doing pretty good lately.
Yeah?
You haven't been, but we're averaging under an hour.
oh wow,
The last like 3.
that's
Including
amazing.
one that was like 12 minutes. 2 weeks ago, we were done in like 12 minutes.
Wow,
Granted, there
That's
was
probably a record.
one thing on the agenda, so.
oh my goodness,
Pretty quick.
that's amazing.
But it's all gonna go away because it's budget season, so.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nuisance ordinance or something. Tell students right now they're wearing bushes.
Is that something that just happened?
Furniture on porches.
Yeah,
I just think things over the years get kind of routine.
underwear on.
I love these ideas.
I have to say though, I've seen these since the beginning.
No, I think there's also, it's really unique, like there's a lot of things that continue to come.
I mean, when we first started the commission, people wanted gallery space, people wanted artist housing too.
That means, man, it's important. If it comes up year after year. And
Yeah, but it's hard to
cheap.
achieve. Yeah, that's just it.
Mhm. This is nice snack that you got.
They're beanie toes.
Are they?
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
They're made from beans.
What? We looked up, we were doing
Oh.
Can I see them?
Oh, those are food to taste good. I thought they were beanie toes.
There's other brands in there.
This is amazing. Yes, this is right on my line.
A little higher protein.
Take about 2 more minutes to finish up.
Where's the
Try to
other
write
part?
something on each one.
But you could probably find similar product at.
I love like these.
You-
Oh my gosh.
Can you go there wide?
Oh, you just stole my idea.
Great line.
Wow, that is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
You're really cool, yeah. Brandon, how do you eat these? Wow.
Them things crazy.
You literally
They
peel them or just
squirted,
eat the whole
they
thing?
squirted
The whole
everything.
thing in your mouth.
I actually just chew it. Like chew it.
Did you eat the whole
It's
thing?
weird.
Was it good?
I liked it good, but I like the
Citrus?
yeah, I like the skin. I actually eat
Yeah.
sour skin. So.
Good?
But the skin's sweeter than if you ate an orange rind.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
Maybe
not
It's not working.
Yum.
I'll try pretty much anything, so.
How often do we collaborate with campus, and how limited can it be?
A lot of the answers around collaboration in general come through our arts grant program. Like, there are many campus organizations that benefit from our arts grant program. So School of Music, Asian American Cultural Center, Native American House this time. I'm trying to think, Matsuri Festival, Japan House. And then in general, I've come, in the past year, I've given workshops in the grants and talks in the art and design department. A lot of art and design students.
I'm sorry, I missed
Yeah,
you.
I came 3 times, I think, this year to the School of Art and Design. And I went to the OIR Cultural Center meeting and had a guest presentation there. I participate in the Grantathon, which is through the School of Social Work, and represent the arts program there. So, a lot of units when you think about it, but in terms of like an ongoing project, that's often through our grant program. I'm trying to think. Krannert Art Museum, and I have been in conversations about collaboration in Krannert Center. We've had some collaborations. Robert E. Brown Center for World Music through Krannert with Jason Finkelman. Department of Dance.
Okay, so it's fine.
It's pretty wide, but in terms of like a long-term ongoing project, hasn't quite happened. I've talked to the Department of Dance about doing like an activation, like a riff on a sculpture walk that would be site-specific dance performances next to our sculptures where their students would actually be, as part of curriculum, interpreting the sculpture through dance. There's a similar project that's actually really cool through Krannert Art Museum called Art Remastered, which Camilla puts on. Have you been to that, Jared? And it's like the artists sit in front of the artwork and they do musical performances based on the artwork that they're sitting in front of. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
I mean, it came out of Camilla, and Camilla is both a musician and a visual artist.
Yeah, it's
There's a lot of opportunity, I think. I think the biggest constraint for our program is that I'm one person.
Right,
I think that's, I mean, truly, but that doesn't mean like, commissioners couldn't start some stuff. I don't know, it doesn't mean that there's not other possibilities. Yeah, which that's a really good question, because that whole Virginia campus community divide, such
Which
an
is kind of
issue.
charge of the current chancellor too, so yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I can tell you that the Krannert Museum new director is also really enthusiastic. John,
Yeah, was it Cedal?
Cedal.
Cedal, it is Cedal.
He's really
No, we've been
enthusiastic.
talking
He
about
wants to collaborate. He started, did you hear about his new residency
Well, I was in
program
my
at Allard?
New York talking to my friends.
It's like, I don't know what's called out there, but it was like, to specifically support indigenous artists.
And my stuff, your stuff, I mean, just about every corner, and that's the guy walking.
Hey, you look like me, huh?
Residency proves,
Wow.
I don't know the odds of that happening.
And I was like, it's such a
Turn
great,
if you're
like,
good. Yeah,
move
he
towards
is.
also like conditions and like, it's just such a good
Yeah,
project. He's really
yeah.
got his mind in the right spot.
I knew he was coming with something. Because I could tell from the
He's really
text.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
no,
really got his mind in the
that's,
good spot.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, let's talk. We've got a lot of things. Jessica's in front of one, Cap's in front of another, Barbara's leading, but they're in front of another. Are you guys willing to read out what are on the 3 pages that are in front of you?
Yeah.
Jared, do you want to start with you? What was your priority?
Mine,
Yep, the priority on the sheet in front of you.
education opportunities with student and university organizations.
Wait, nope, the big thing that's written at the top.
Celebrate and nurture the city of Urbana's artistic and cultural diversity.
Yay! Okay, what are some ideas for how we're going to achieve that?
First, we have reconceptualized programs. What can a program be that we haven't thought of or done previously?
I love that question.
So many things.
I can read that if you.
Multi-school created graphic novel that celebrates diversity of cultures.
That's great.
Rachel said continue to build greater relationships with organizations and individuals that advance cross-cultural programming and organizing. Recognition / awards for outstanding artists / makers in the community. Get more publicity for our grants events and grant artists. Cultural grant _
I just wrote that. I think we should have a specific grant category potentially in the long term to celebrate culture more explicitly.
Yes.
No, I agree. Evaluation including demo info. Was that also?
Demographic.
Demographic.
Sorry. I want to know like who's attending our programs, who's benefiting. I mean, I say that, and then at the risk of like, I think some of the quantitative evaluative program evaluations that count heads are problematic. So knowing that they're a little bit problematic, and it's good information to kind of assess like who's coming up
That's
to
one of
things.
my questions I was gonna ask you later. was
Yeah.
The feedback from last weekend, for example. Sometimes you learn a lot from those activities, what draws people down and.
We don't currently have an evaluation tool we're using, but I can say in my last position, I used an evaluation tool all the time, and we find the saturation of how we used it literally at every single event and program, and then having to chart all that information. It always felt like more burdensome and less yielding of real important information over time. So I think there's a way to do it really thoughtfully, and I don't know what that way is, but we can explore it.
Celebrate historic facets of Urbana and recognize longtime area cultural arts programs. And then lastly, put materials in French / Spanish and address accessibility as much as possible in event planning.
No, I meant disability accessibility. Well, but also
Yeah,
things
I
like
got that.
mothers and, anyway, parents, people who are attending
Accessibility.
accessibility.
And that is it for Celebrate and Nurture the City of Urbana's artistic and cultural diversity.
Pat, what was your priority?
Community members' opportunities for creative expression. We've got here workshops, drawing classes, and in local Urbana schools. Opportunities for group collaboration, youth projects, live music, all styles. I had a more specific one there. I said C4A. I just thought of them because the hands-on kind of thing they do with instruments, they have folk and roots, something like that, maybe more geared to adults. I don't know, might be kind of fun. Grow Open Scene, introductions to new tech and the arts. Urbana Community Talent Show. Programming for a variety of age ranges from aimed at kids to older adults. Yeah.
Very good.
Coding classes, maker spaces, drink / drip, coffee, and draw.
Ooh, I love that. Drip and draw.
Thank you.
Is that your idea? I love that.
Well, just the name. Just
Yeah,
the name.
I love Brooks on names. That's really
What we got.
good. Awesome. What about you, Jessica?
Build creative public spaces, and the ideas are monthly SIP yard concerts, community garden, demand more from developers, better community planning processes, dedicated gallery space, mini festivals for particular forms of art, incentivize music/artistic venues, collaborative long-term ongoing projects, seek out new venues, support existing venues, think outside the box, use unique spaces, artist housing, and functional public plaza for many kinds of events.
Great ideas. I guess I want to invite one thing before we also maybe head towards wrapping this up, which is of the things that you wrote, specifically on any one of these, is there something you'd like to say to elaborate on any of the things that felt like important ideas or priorities from you?
I was like, I wanted a drawing class, and I asked people like in the art school and people other places, where can I take like a drawing class that's not like through the university, and people were like, there's not one. And I was like, how's that possible? I mean, no, in the community, not through like an institution. And I was like, how is that possible?
Park district, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, though.
There was a group.
So once upon a time, also the arts program, and I'm not volunteering myself, period. No, I'm just kidding. But once upon a time, the arts program had a brochure of like arts classes, arts. And it's all. Did you make it? It's beautiful, and it's of course so out of date because things come and go so quickly. And it is it's a very difficult document. I bet it was out of date in 3 months. Like as things just move so quickly, you know. So, but having like an online listing, I mean, 40 North does some work with that through their venue and artist listing. But having like a classes in Urbana listing could be a great project, really wonderful project that maybe an intern or a commissioner or somebody who would like to volunteer towards that could make happen, because we do actually have the bare bones of that from that wonderful brochure that was made.
Well, I mean, there might have been classes. Oh, I looked like at Urbana Park during one season, and I was like, oh, but I don't want a watercolor class. I want a drawing class, and oh, actually, I'd like a class like during a time that I'm not at work.
Sure,
yeah.
One of our grantees, Stephen Taylor's wife, she's an artist.
What's her name?
I can't remember. That's why I'm having a problem. But she does art class. They're private.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't mean a private class. Like
You mean like a public, like
just like a
a
class
center or something?
at a center where you can just go and somebody is like, here's like 10 weeks of learning to draw.
Yeah. Well, and so I think one of the things that we'll find with all of these, especially the more concrete ideas for programs, is that they will likely emerge through our arts grant program. Like, we're not going to necessarily be the ones to create every single event and things, because what we do is far more curatorial, more long range, right? But the thing that can happen, and I actually think it speaks a lot to artistic and cultural diversity nurturing, which is if you have something that you would like to see that doesn't exist yet, but you see somebody who's starting to edge towards that work in some form or another, nurture that person, encourage that person to apply for an arts grant, to get involved in our programs. Because, for instance, if we knew somebody who would love to teach drawing, we work right now with the Young Artist Studio at the library, but the library also has adult art related classes. They're not on an ongoing basis, they're here and there, but that's certainly something that could be of interest. Like they had a paint your own masterpiece project, and a lot of this comes because somebody takes an interest and says, I want to do a thing and I'm willing to do it, and they either have the budget money or the person saying, I'm going to go do it for free. As Jared said too, we've got a lot of volunteerism and encouragement among artists. But I think a lot of what we'll find is that our resources are limited, but what we have a great position to do as a commission that is supposed to nurture the whole art scene is create listings of what's happening, help communicate, help coordinate, and help get people resources. So that could also be largely through things like our arts grant program and the kinds of grants we offer. Like I was thinking, as we talked about schools, I was thinking about arts in the schools, and it's like the smallest grant. It's a pretty small grant, we have $3,000 slated for arts in the schools projects. But that is certainly one that would be really fun to see grow in different ways, because we can really help nurture that within the school district and hopefully be hand in hand with the school district and supporting the growth of arts education. So anyway, that's just an example, but I think a lot of what we'll see is kind of how we can also lead and support the emergence of these things by others who are enthusiastic and wanting to do it, because the commission and the program itself can't, of course, do everything, right? But we can identify things that are missing, maybe a life drawing class or whatever, and what we'd like to see in the community, and then help try to, you know, identify and shepherd people into, like, you know, doing that work, because there probably is also somebody who would love to teach a life drawing class and just isn't, you know, for example.
Oh, we have a couple of members on the commission who know people who do that. We could ask and see if there's they
We
might
have a
not
lot of people
wanna
that do
it,
drawing
but they
and
might
graphic design.
know somebody too, you know, who's just been itching for the opportunity.
Yep.
Do people have to live here in order to
To apply for arts grants? No, they don't.
No.
They have to do their thing here.
Okay.
They have to benefit or be on a residence.
Mhm.
And this is also speaks to something that I want to continue to do as part of, like, planning and visioning.
We have to justify it.
Yeah, no, that's what I need,
Yeah.
both of those answers.
Yeah.
One thing I want to do as an extension of planning and visioning for the commission is to really empower you as commissioners to feel absolutely capable around how to, like, pull people into the program, tell them about our project. Like, we have a lot of new commissioners around the table, but also I only see you once a month. And so because of that, you know, oftentimes we have a lot of programs and you get the rundown once a month in the staff report, but feeling very, like, confident to be able to say, well, actually we have an open scene coming up next weekend, or arts grants are due, you know, at this time. I really want you to feel like ambassadors of the arts program as best of your ability. Frequently I'll get, like, commissioners emailing me and saying, hey, I've got a friend who's got this really cool project, they might want to do a thing. And I'm like, yeah, why haven't you told me about the grant program yet? You know, because, like, I can go tell them, and I certainly will. Like, don't ever hesitate to actually email me when that stuff emerges. But I want you to feel really confident that you can also say all that information, right? That it doesn't even have to necessarily come to me, and even point them in the right direction. And some of that is, you know, it starts with me communicating really well with you and you feeling like you can access me, but also that everybody over time, as you get more and more familiar with the things that we're doing and we all vision together, that you feel confident to be able to, like, tell people about the things. My default answer for the lot of requests that come through is apply for an arts grant, because we actually have that mechanism and so many arts organizations don't. You know, they say that sounds great and we'll have to look and see if we may have it in our budget or if anybody's interested or whatever. We actually have a mechanism to support arts in Urbana really directly financially, which is really nice. So you'll notice that will become your probably default answer a lot too. You'll know when the grants are coming up. You'll be able to, like, tell them about when a workshop's happening, because it really is, when I think about these priorities, like, where does it emerge the most? It emerges through our grant program. Like, we have effectively had cultural grants. We have had a lot of arts and culture programming for years and years and years in all of the creative sectors, and it's largely through the grant program, which is good, because we don't want to be the only people doing everything. We want to help support everybody to make their dreams happen right around the arts scene.
Has anyone ever put together a history of the grants program? As far as, like, here's what it was in such and such time, and here's what successes we achieved with it, and then we changed it and we made it this way, and that was a terrible idea, and then we did it this way and it was a good idea.
Right.
Has anybody ever?
have done that.
Have done some private version of that,
And
yeah.
sometimes when we're looking ahead, that's a good time that we look back and we say, well, what worked and what didn't. And
Yeah.
This is where we came from. So, yeah, we've done that a couple times.
Okay.
But these are great projects for, like, also for somebody who's enthusiastic, wants a concrete project. I am getting, I didn't mention this, but it would be if I had done a full staff report. I'm getting a high school intern through the Care for You program, which is the Urbana School District Summer Youth Employment Program. I applied for one through the Illinois Arts Council. I've signed us up in the past for things like Women in Leadership program on campus that will also provide students through that program to come work with the arts program. And they often need, like, a very, like, beginning and end specific task, which that would be perfect for, you know, like looking at something evaluative or doing something that kind of is archival. Those are great projects for those kinds of groups. So I'm taking mental note. We do if you'll notice during, like, some of the presentations I've given, I kind of chart how many things we've done. So I do, like, the numbers stuff, like, oh, we're about to hit the 100th episode of Art Now, which I think is, like, the next one or the one after will be the 100th episode. Yeah. And, you know, we have things like 290 plus arts grant projects now is the number of total funded projects through the arts grant program. So, you know, We can do those kinds of things, but the actual like charting a history, I don't know. Sounds like it's happened before, but yeah. And for me, I've got a lot of papers to sift through from previous arts coordinators to actually be able to articulate those answers, which is why it's so
Well,
wonderful.
about this time of year is a good time to start looking at those records, because that's when we always evaluated those kind of things.
It's true. It's true.
Well, as the arts administrator who has so much on her plate, what do you want the Arts Commission to do? Or what should the Arts Commission be doing? Or what could it do?
Yeah, like I said, I think positioning you folks as ambassadors as much as possible, I think would be really, really great for the program to be, because I can't be everywhere, and like so feeling like you're comfortable talking and representing the arts program, telling people about programming initiatives and stuff, and I can, equip you with everything that you need to feel comfortable to do that, because I also feel like it's completely reasonable. You meet once a month to not feel like, I actually don't know if I can speak to all the programs that we do, right? So I want to equip you more so that you feel like you can do that. Of course, I want the commission to be able to bring all of your unique areas of expertise together to think about these priorities. And that's why this visioning for me is just like a tipping point for us to be able to or an initial point, I should say, for us to be able to kind of continue that conversation about what you want to see, where you want to put your energies. And of course, we hope that there would be some level of service with the Arts Commission beyond meetings. Like if there's ways for you to be, at events, or if there's ways that you want to give your time, if there's a project that completely interests you, I would love to work with you on that. And of course, I understand your energy and your mind at our meetings is the most important asset to me. So if you sign up and you can't give yourself, as a volunteer or whatever, that is completely reasonable. It's not a requirement of being a commissioner, but it's just that, those are other ways for you to be involved in the program and also see firsthand how things go, so you feel more confident to be able to talk about them too.
I have kind of mentioned this before. What about a brochure?
Yeah.
What about a brochure or like a website that kind of
It sets apart.
kind of presents the information well?
So it is true that we are a little buried on the City of Urbana's website, but that has gotten a little bit better. I don't know if you noticed this, Brandon, but I made a request to pull out the arts program and the market as their own bullets when you go to things for residents now. So it used to have to go to residents, and then you had to go to things to do, see, or visit, which is not very intuitive, and then you'd have to click that, and then it would open up a few different things, and then you'd find public arts in there. And so it's just very varied. The easy thing for me is I just don't give out that city URL. I just give out urbanaillinois.us/arts, and it goes right to the arts page. I do try to keep the pages updated. We have talked about having a separate page for the arts. The Downtown Get Down will have its own website, so that'll have a completely separate thing.
Wow.
And yeah, that'll be nice because we need to be able to list what's happening with that. That will be managed through Urbana Business Association. And then we will also, one thing I want to say is we have a brochure, but it is out of date because we have rebranded the program. We've added some programs in the last year, so it needs a revision. So hopefully we'll do that coming up soon. And
I will volunteer.
Would you love to help with that?
I will volunteer.
Yay!
Because I need to have something that I can pick
tactile
up to look at, and turn pages.
Yeah, no, that's great. I gave out a bunch of the old ones today at the Special Pops Resource Fair on campus, and my hope is that they are kind of vanishing so that we officially need more brochures. And the time is now to design one and get anything. Well, anyway, I wanted to not keep us too much over time, so I think we'll wrap up for now. This is wonderful. I'm going to put this all in a document and share it with you so that you know some of the ideas that came forth in this meeting. I hope that we'll work in kind of continuing this conversation into some upcoming meetings. It will not take place in May. Because I suspended grant presentations for April, you have a laundry list, I'm sorry, in May, and people are anxious about their checks because it's the end of the grant period. So I can't say too many no's to them, because if I say no, they ask me in February, and then we had our special meeting, all that stuff. So some people have felt a little delayed. So I need to make sure that they get a chance to give their final grant reports. But that's what you can expect for next month's meeting. And then I think, starting in June, we'll have a lot more things. And of course, next month's meeting, I'll also be giving you information about the Downtown Get Down because it starts a couple weeks after our meeting.
What about the poet laureate?
Good question. The poet laureate jury met. We decided to ask for some additional information from the applicants. So they're getting an invitation to send just a little bit more information that'll help make that decision because it was a tough decision.
Oh.
And then my hope is to announce that next month.
Cool.
Very
Yay. Thank you.
good. All done then?
All done.
Okay, then I move that we adjourn. And a second? All right.